No one cares how much talent you have, who you are deep down, or what you could be. All they care about is what you do, what you're bringing to the table, who you are. You're listening to the Science and Spirit of Happy podcast, where we discuss the rational, strategic, and psychological methods, but also the deep reasons and spiritual philosophy behind being happy down to the soul. Happiness isn't just hedonism. It's not even solely personal. Getting happy dramatically increases your effectiveness in every area, from business and finance to relationships. When we align with our own personal version of ideal, we end up not just happier, but healthier, more whole, more successful and richer, but even loving and loved. It's my opinion that getting happy for yourself is the absolute best way to serve the people in your life. I'm your host, Laura Lee Bowers, master healer and academic researcher, and this is another episode diving into the science and spirit of happy, a logical path to soul. We are in the HeartSet district, in the heart layer of ourselves, of our personal development, of becoming the people that we want to be instead of, the shape of the person who fit into our families. And last time we talked about fierceness, the personal power of fierceness. This is the complementary personal power of the heart. And that is feeling your feelings. So fierceness is feeling your feelings. And I discussed how, your dream is your destiny and feelings are the barometer towards who you are, right? I always say to my students, your feelings are true. Your feelings are you. And there's a lot of pushback against that. And it makes for really unsustainable development, which is why 95% of people fail to make really big change in their lives. So if feelings are the barometer and fierceness is feeling those feelings so that you know who you are, where you're supposed to go, what feels right to you, what's righteous for you to do, then freedom is being able to express that. Freedom is being able to be yourself. So I talked about, Beyonce on a catwalk last time, because we talk about fierceness in this way where it's an act, right? And I get that. That's not what fierceness is in my teachings, but freedom would be. So freedom is Beyonce on a catwalk being fierce, because that's who Beyonce is. Right? That's her authentic self. She's embracing everything that she is and expressing it. So it's freedom. It's definitely a HeartSet attribute. So being yourself. I actually, when I first met my husband, we were working together at this hot springs resort. He worked in the kitchen, I worked in the front of house. And we'd have conversations over the past, like where you pick up food all the time. And I remember him saying, he was saying about, going out and feeling nervous or whatever. And he's like, yeah, people just tell me just be yourself. And I'm like, how do I be myself? And I laughed so hard. And I still chuckle about it today because we take for granted that this is so simplistic. Just be yourself. And yet it tickled my funny bone at such a deep level because it's something that so many people struggle with so deeply on a fundamental level. This how do I be myself feeling is I would say it's more common than Beyonce on a catwalk, which is why Beyonce's making the dough she is. Would be paid the amount of money that she is to show up on a catwalk, because nobody is being Beyonce. And everybody else, we're not collectively all being ourselves either. Okay. Fierceness sounds really easy to just feel your feelings. Oh my gosh. Do you know how many people, it was an entire TikTok therapy revolution that was just people realizing how to feel their feelings, usually using techniques like their therapist would identify places in the body or whatever. There's some small ways that therapists are now directing their patients to feel their feelings, because it's such a missing part of our collective wisdom. Okay, it's not basic, it's not simple, and it's not easy anymore. I have a 2-year-old. I mention him all the time because, when we're talking about what's natural, I study kids a lot. I study adults a lot. I study, people that are really, really successful a lot. I studied research a lot, becoming a researcher. And I also look to children whenever I am trying to figure out what's natural. So have you ever met a baby who wonders if they should cry when they're hungry? No. Baby, when they're hungry, they cry. When they're scared, they cry. When they're lonely, they cry. When they're uncomfortable, when they're bored, when they want anything, get me that thing, they cry. It's an automatic expression. Or if you're, my baby yells. My baby, when he was born, the midwife and the nurse took him from me just to do the wait or whatever, just for a second. And it wasn't even right after. But as soon as they took him, he actually put his head up and yelled at them. Wow. They were both just whoa. And my kid is he is not a big crier, but he will yell for things. When he's wants something, he is wah, wah, instead of crying. It's really funny, but he's expressing himself nonetheless. It's an automatic thing. We express ourselves automatically, and the baby expects to have their needs met. I couldn't believe, I was just so amazed by my child's confidence and his expectation, his sense of self-worth, that even if I'm minorly uncomfortable, I expect that somebody is going to help me out. It's amazing if we could all embody this sense of genuine, natural, authentic entitlement. I think that we would live in a more empathetic world. And what I mean by that is that when we start to honor our own entitlement to help, to being acknowledged, to being seen, it necessarily follows the path to giving that to other people too. Because if we feel like we're entitled from our nature, then we have to understand that everybody else is also entitled to that too. And I think that we could live in a very beautiful world if we all had that level of self-worth. Maybe it's not entitlement. Maybe that's the wrong word, especially to use in this climate. But maybe a sense of worth. That's basic. It's simple. Okay. It's effortless and it's natural. And it's right. It's right. Just like the straightforward response to that is right. How do you feel when you walk down the street and you see somebody struggling? I wish I could alleviate that struggle. Ouch, that makes me feel bad. If you could help, how does that make you feel? Good, right? Right back to that fierceness being that your feelings are a barometer for what is right. Your feelings are a barometer for what is righteous. So that's the straightforward response. to the baby crying, I want to help. So what about the baby who doesn't get the appropriate response? Remember in the Fierceness episode, I was asking you, how many parents that respond in all these ways? The bullying parent, when the kid is having a hard time, when the kid is crying, right? How many parents respond with bullying or gaslighting or dismissing or undermining their struggle? When you don't get that straightforward response, you don't develop straightforward means to getting your needs met. You started off straight and pure and true, and the twisted response changed your shape. Not sure if you had a twisted response? Have a baby. You will find out how you were treated. I think it's my personal pet theory that I think that how you were treated as an infant comes out of you as a parent. But also, it's only been this generation who have not been encouraged by experts to actually ignore babies' cries. Okay, so this isn't uncommon to get an inappropriate response. I talked about secure attachment and insecure attachment. I do on a pretty general but regular basis, just to illustrate how our parents may or may not have responded to us. And I often cite this generally accepted statistic that securely attached people are around 50% of the population, 50-50. So I looked just a little bit deeper into it, and I found out that was actually self-reported. So when we're asking people what their attachment style is, they self-report between 50 and 60%. So the actual number, some psychologists estimate this to be around 30%. And if you understand anything about attachment theory, I would really recommend looking into this. I'll go into it briefly in the book as well. But I've seen really, really good statistics for young kids. So we're looking at really preschool, toddler to preschool kids, getting a really good idea for the actual statistic on parenting, on how kids are being treated. I've seen really good stats for young kids, anywhere from under 30% to all the way to 60%. So I don't know what the criteria that they're using for secure attachment. Maybe that's the discrepancy in the statistics. I don't really care that much because I don't study really what's wrong. I study how to make things right. But from my vantage point, just dealing with humans in general, I'd say the 30% is probably more accurate from what I've seen. How many people are not able to be really present in relationships and build secure bonds. I mean, the hookup culture probably depicts pretty well that the majority of people are probably not securely attached. But even if we consider the highest estimate, so the highest statistics on securely attached individuals are still close to half the population. So around half the population would still be insecurely attached, which means they're having parents that didn't respond appropriately to them. So the lowest, you got 3-to-1 odds of having an insecure attachment. Okay. So what does this have to do with anything? What's attachment anyways? Why does it matter if, my parent hopped to it when I cried out for attention or didn't? Well, attachment really is the way that we respond to feelings. So if you're stressed, how do you respond? Do you ask for help? What do you do? I mean, the things that you could do, how do you respond when you're stressed? Do you freak out? Do you take it out on someone? Do you run away? This is me. I run away. I ended up traveling the whole world for, probably a little bit because of my anxiety and a lot because I was seeking. But, our stress response is a product of our attachment. What do you do when you're uncomfortable? Okay, how much of personal growth is uncomfortable? Like, it wouldn't be growth if it wasn't uncomfortable. Your attachment style dictates what you do when you're uncomfortable. Do you stop? Do you give it up? Do you go forward? Do you have tools in your toolkit to like move forward? Do you ask for help again? You need something, you want something. What do you do about that? How many people have anxiety about asking their boss for something, or going for something that they really want? You love someone? What do? You run away? Oh, I used to tell people that I think I invented the having like passive affection relationships, like is like passive affection. I used to do this thing where I held people at arm's distance or further than that, and had like whole multi-year long relationships just relating in this passive affection way because of like my attachment issues, my insecure attachment issues. So it's so many things. And I have a bunch of research in the book too on how attachment style kind of predicts your quality of life and your personality traits and your behavior patterns. But this is big. This is big, 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 big. This is how we respond to the way that we feel and what we do about it. What we do about the way that we feel is dictated by our attachment style. It dictates almost everything that is meaningful in our life, including finances. If it's not directly, it's definitely indirectly, because the way that we are in a workplace, the way that we are with other people. I can't think of a single profession in the entire globe that doesn't have to deal with people. Maybe a lighthouse watcher. I think that most of those are becoming mechanized now, but even that, you need to go on an interview. You need to be able to get the job in the first place from other people. So like attachment is the foundation for how we are in the world. So I talked about fierceness being the barometer for your dream, your destiny, your purpose. Okay, so but what if you have fierceness? You can feel fully. You can feel fully the things that you want and the things that you need and the love that you have and all of the person that you are, all the things that you feel. You can feel who you are and what you want and what your dream is and your purpose. And it stays inside. I had a producer in my past life as a musician who said to me, his name is Wilson, he's wonderful. He said to me, "No one cares how much talent you have, Lauralee. They just care what you bring into the studio." And it stopped me dead in my tracks, because how many of us think that we're good because we know that we could be good, or we tell ourselves that we're good because we know that we could be good, when really what it really comes down to is bringing that good to the outside world on a consistent basis, showing up. Doesn't matter if you have incredible talent as a singer or a musician, if you're not showing up for practice every day, if you're not honing that skill, and if you're not bringing it consistently to the table for other people to recognize, they don't care. They're going to choose to work with the person who's showing up, who's doing the things, over that could be less talented. They have less promise or potential, because nobody gives a crap about potential. Nobody gives a crap about potential. You ever wonder why maybe people that you're more talented than are more successful than you? That's because they have more freedom. They have more freedom. They're out there. They're in the ring. Theodore Roosevelt's famous quote, quoted, I heard it because of Brené Brown. Brené Brown quotes it a lot. She even named the title of her book Daring Greatly after this speech that he gave. And she's talking about this exact topic. She calls it by another name, but she's talking about freedom. I'm going to read you this quote by Teddy Roosevelt. I am switching out the man for woman and the himself for herself, etc., because I am. But in the aim to keep this accurate, I wanted to tell you that I'm doing so. It is not the critic who counts, not the woman who points out how the strong woman stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the woman who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends herself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if she fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that her place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory or defeat. This is freedom. Freedom is being in the ring. He talks about the critics sitting in the stands, watching the people in the arena and critiquing what they're doing and how meaningless those opinions are. Because the person who is in the ring is doing it. Beyonce doesn't care if you think she looks crap on the catwalk. She doesn't care. Why? Well, I mean, because she thinks she looks good. But what about all those times that she showed up and she was just going for it? What about the times that she wasn't happy about, her getup, her makeup, her hair, her outfits? You think that didn't happen on her path and she still showed up? That's freedom. You have to be in the ring to even have a chance to play. So imagine you had the fierceness to detect exactly where to go and the freedom to dare greatly in getting there. Yeah, I mean, you could go anywhere. You could go exactly where you want to go and you would feel good doing it. And I will tell you that when you're on this path, people will leave. People will leave, okay? You get up out of the stands and you walk into the ring. Yeah, you better believe that the people that were talking smack about the people in the ring to you are going to be doing the exact same thing to you. And they don't want to come, and they're not going to think that what you're doing is okay. They're not even going to think that what you're doing is right. But big change will happen. That's why it's called daring. And it will deliver you to your dream. That's why it's called daring greatly. Brené Brown always talks about being brave and that vulnerability requires bravery. And what Brené Brown talks about, vulnerability is really what I call fierceness and freedom. And vulnerability is necessary to have boundaries around vulnerability. So I'm going to talk about that in the next 2 episodes. But for now, Brené Brown's research says that this property of vulnerability, this personal power of vulnerability that she calls vulnerability, this directly equates feeling worthy and then that turning into having belonging and being a good leader, like this is not something that you can live without. This is not something that you can not have. Okay. And P.S., being a good parent is just being a good leader. Like parenting skills are leadership skills. So this is not stuff that you can live without. This is not stuff that you can live a good life without having. Nobody lives a good life without belonging, without feeling worthy. And yeah, I mean, most people become parents. So, like these leadership skills, like these are not things that you can live your life without. This is really, really crucial. And I've got 2 more personal powers that you need to get on the road and prepare for big external changes. That is the just doing it and getting there step. And so we're going to drop into the soul next time, or energy, whatever you want to call it. It's the same exact thing. So definitely tune in and grab the book if you want to skip ahead and get all the personal powers in place, as well as exercises. But for today, I just want to close this with saying fierceness is trusting your inner guide, your inner guidings, because feelings, they bubble up as these little inclinations and guides to tell you about you, to tell you about what you like, what you don't like, what's right for you, what's wrong for you. Freedom is embracing it and walking in it towards who you really are. Until next week, bid you adieu. G'day, y'all.